Yeah, what do you think of this Dave Allen? He's getting a bit of attention, isn't he? You know, after his victory over Johnny Fisher Jr. You know, but some people are saying, yeah, but this Johnny Fisher Jr., he's just a rugby player. You know, he's not a real boxer. He's just a rugby player. So some people are saying he's a bit like that Freddie Flintoff. You know, that little cricket player. You know, who tried to get into boxing, but it didn't really work, did it? You know, people are saying that's what's happened with this Johnny Fisher. So is Dave Allen really British title level? You know, like how some people are making out. You know, there's talks of him fighting Deontay Wilder. You know, now Wilder can't pull the trigger. You know, after taking the ayahuasca, he seems to have lost the ability to pull the trigger, you know, and land that right hand. And that's all he really had, you know, that right hand. So, you know, now that's gone. He knows there's nothing left. And you know, when he got banged by Zhilei Zhang, he was laying on his back with his legs open, you know, like a bitch. And you know that Tilly Swift, she seen it. She seen her man Deontay Wilder laying on his back with his legs open, you know, like a bitch. You know, after getting banged by Zhilei Zhang, you know, the big ugly monster, you know, that she wanted to protect him from. But you know, this Deontay Wilder, he couldn't do it, could he? So she divorced him, you know, and took off his money. You know, like Shane Mosley's ex-wife. You know how she really rinsed Shane Mosley. You know, taking his belts and his memorabilia and a load of cash and child support. She really rinsed Shane Mosley. So then he started trying to hang around with that De La Hoya. You know, begging him for scraps. You know, after getting rinsed by his ex-wife. You know, and it's the same with this Deontay Wilder. He's come back to boxing, you know, to fight some bum. You know, to try and claw back some money that he's lost. You know, to this Tilly Swift. So he'll probably fight Dave Allen in Sheffield. Who wins? I don't know. I didn't think Dave was going to win the rematch, you know, with Johnny Fisher. Because, like, you know, at the weigh-in, you know, when Dave Allen was waiting to go out to get weighed, he was, like, smiling. And I thought, oh, he's gone back to being Daft Dave, Annie. You know, putting socks down his pants and talking about Danny Morrell. You know, before they had a big bust-up. I thought he's gone back to that Daft Dave. But he might have just been laughing at Johnny Fisher. Because, like, you know, when he was getting ready to go out to get weighed, he was doing this, like, weird kind of shadow boxing. You know, like he's some kind of old school throwback fighter. You know, like John L. Sullivan. So Dave Allen might have been laughing at that. Because, you know, this Johnny Fisher as well, he was saying that he's really inspired by ancient Roman gladiators. You know, who fought to the death in the Colosseums. And he was talking about how he's really inspired by Genghis Khan and Shaka Zulu. You know, like Joshua with Big Meech. But he didn't show any of that. You know, he tried to fight on the back foot, but he didn't know how to counter Dave Allen's punches. You know, like how Terence Crawford did with Errol Spence. You know how Terence Crawford countered Errol Spence's punch. You know, and it's the same with this Moses Atalma. He can counter punches. So it'd be quite interesting to see him in there with Dave Allen. Yeah, what do you think of Dave Allen's missus? Do you think she deserves to be with Dave Allen? You know, now that he's guaranteed 2 more big paydays from Eddie Hearn. Yeah, she managed to get in there, didn't she? She's had 2 kids with him, George and Betty. So she knows that she's guaranteed to get that money, you know, for the next 18 years. So she's loving it. You know, at the after party, you know, after Dave beat Johnny Fisher, Dave Allen said his missus was bladdered. He said she was bladdered, you know, at the after party. You know, because she knows that there's 2 more big paydays to come, you know, from Eddie Hearn.